Jayden Dumont, also known by his professional name Jaydes, was born on February 24, 2006 in Pompano Beach, Florida, but grew up in Fort Lauderdale. His origin is of a mixed background, having a Haitian-born father who was an R&B performer himself and a Dominican mother. He grew up with two older sisters, and music dominated his childhood, one of his sisters introducing him to electric guitar.
Yeah, little Jay's been doing this for a little minute. But like, I was just sitting there in this picture, but like, I was trying to play some shit out there.
Do you have any memory of this?
Yeah, I mean, like I used to have a recording set up in my house because my sister used to make hella music and shit. And I just pulled up my chair, grabbed the little guitar that my sister used to use, put on the headphones, you know what I'm saying? Like, try to rock out at a young age, you feel me?
His mother introduced him to artists like Jaydes, and his father exposed him to Erykah Badu, influences which would become important later on in his melodic sound. When Jaydes was 5 years old, he took piano lessons, giving him a basic musical foundation. And besides that, he played soccer until he was around 13 years old. In his teenage years, he began to tinker with recording. He started by using free software like Audacity and then moved on to FL Studio.
So you're only 18 now.
Yes, sir.
You started making music when you were 16, is that right?
I don't know. I think I started when I was like 14, just fucking around on like Audacity and shit.
Where he learned by experimentation how to make, record, and mix his own music. Jaydes dropped out of high school at around 16 and switched to online schooling. He reported some of the reasons being personal scandals and simply not feeling at ease in that environment.
So I actually got put out of school on 3 separate occasions, but today I'm gonna tell you about the first and second time I got kicked out of Element. I got in trouble for singing this song walking down the hall. It was like this, walking down the hall, scratching my balls, my dick got stuck in the elevator hall. My dick turned green, my girlfriend screamed, that's the end of my dingling thing. And I got suspended for this in like kindergarten, dude. But basically, this girl in my class would bully me when I was around 5 or 6, and she would get her friends to call me names and shit. But this one day, I was just sick of it all. We were in the woods in the back of my school, and she got too close after pushing me down on the floor. And I ripped out one of her braids from her hair and held it around like a keychain. The other time I got kicked out of school, this gay kid was trying to play footsies with me. And, he kept kicking my foot, and I was in a really bad mood at lunch. So I kind of chokeslammed him from across the table.
Around the same time, he began releasing music on SoundCloud under the name Evils, working with his vocals and building a fan base. His music quickly picked up momentum on platforms like TikTok and SoundCloud, with tracks like Trust Issues and High School, picking up raw emotions, heartbreak, rebellion, and coming-of-age discovery. By 2022, he released his self-taught EP, Heart Pacing, a dreamy and vulnerable work that spoke to how far he'd come from those first piano lessons and soccer games. It was the beginning of his fame as a new rising star of the plug-and-be community. But where would that take him? By his 2021 through 2022 period, he was making waves in the underground with continuous but effective EPs, each one gradually evolving his career. His breakout EP, Romanticism, which was released in 2021, kicked off his dreamy plug-and-be sound, mixing sad, melodic beats with real feelings about love and breakups. After that, he dropped Exclamation Mark, Question Mark, which was released in 2021, a super mysterious experimental album that played around with some wild production twists and became a favorite for its endless creativity. Then came Sativa, which was released in 2022 later that year, which had this chill, hyped up sound that was hard to replicate in his style. Next up was Heart Pacing, which was released in 2022 after the following EPs. This was the album that flipped everything on its head. It's got 9 tracks and features from Rich Amiri and Rio Vaz, and it really nailed down his sound to something awesome. The songs Don't Worry About Me and Sedated blew up on TikTok and streaming, launching him into the spotlight and introducing Jaydes to way more fans beyond the underground scene. In early 2023, after Heart Pacing released, Jaydes started a side project called Mandy, which was inspired by his friend Wi-Fi Skeleton, an indie grunge artist who encouraged him to experiment beyond his Jaydes persona. Jaydes stated that he didn't want to keep his fan base stuck with one genre.
I would try not to keep my fans in a box of like listening to the same genre over and over again, because that shit gets repetitive and boring as fuck. So like I would make archive accounts and post like guitar shit, anything that was different than what I was posting. Piano shit, like literally anything that was different than what I was posting.
He created a separate SoundCloud account where he dropped or previewed over 100 songs, ranging from punk and emo ballades to distorted grunge demos. Manny became both a cult favorite among fans and a creative outlet for Jaydes, laying the groundwork for the punk-driven direction of his later releases.
I'm deleting the app.
He then followed up with his main catalog release with his first studio album, Ghetto Cupid, which was a huge hit in making waves in the underground. It was a much darker take on infatuation and love, where a viral sensation, Rose, racked up millions of streams and took Jaydes to #1 again. In 2024, he started to really experiment with his sound again in Count Up Dracula. This album turned out to be the most daring one he ever dropped because he went punk. Everyone was pretty surprised by this punk twist, and people were mad, people fucked with it. Mixed reviews were thrown all over the room, especially after Ghetto Cupid. Jaydes had been all about that punk vibe from the start, listening to G.G. Allin and emo rock artists like Alex G and American Football. In Count Up Dracula, he mixed that gothic sound with some edgy production, proving he was brave enough to make a big change. His EPs went pretty dark until later 2024. He released Bipolar in May 2024, and it illustrated emotional extremes with the sound of his pain. But where would that take him? Jaydes released the track Junkie on July 19th, 2024. It was a banger in my opinion, one of my favorites on Count Up Dracula. But it foreshadowed something that we're going to speak on. I'm just gonna let you take a listen. Okay, enough listening. I'm just going to tell you guys what I mean by foreshadowing. So, by late 2024, Jaydes' career hit a rough patch thanks to some serious legal issues. On November 2nd, 2024, he got accused of trying to murder his ex-girlfriend Gia in Tamarack, Florida. Only because she turned him down, as in sexual stuff. From a police report, cops say that he went after her with a box cutter and scissors, stabbing her in the neck, arm, and back before he took off. Everyone was pretty shocked about this, fans and critics both, especially since it felt like violence mirrored some of the darker stuff in his music. For example, Junkie. After a 7-day process running being a fugitive, Jaydes was detained on November 10th, 2024 at a Denny's restaurant while experiencing a mental health breakdown. According to the police report, Jaydes was standing by a table with a knife, not complying to any police saying or listening. The sheriff's office detained him and officially charged him with attempted murder. During his arrest, authorities instructed that he should be detained without bond and receive a mental health evaluation pending trial. As of 2025, Jaydes is yet still in custody, and they haven't even gotten to the trial yet. His career, which was literally taking off like a rocket, has left his fan base questioning everything. This whole legal mess is a tough part of his story. It's hard to tell where the troubled artist ends and the accused criminal begins. And nobody really knows what's going to happen with his career moving forward. There is a lot more to this part of the story, but I recommend you go watch my past videos that went over this topic. And yeah.
If you could describe yourself in one word, what would it be? Horny. Pretty ass nigga.
Jaydes' story is still being written. With his music, he's created a community that finds both comfort and energy in what he does. His songs help people cope, heal, and get hyped up. Even with all the uncertainty ahead, he's still a deep artist with loads more to accomplish. you can already feel the impact he's made in the underground community. And whatever's next will just be another chapter in a legacy that's still unfolding.